Hello, you guys. Yesterday I attended a Tim Fletcher masterclass on trauma, and it completely changed the way I view trauma. Like, it gave me so much knowledge, and I'm sure this might help some of you the way it helped me, so I need to share it with you. And since compartir es de guapas, which means that sharing is caring in a kind of way, like in Spanish, I want to share this with you. First of all, he started by talking about the fact that 80% of people, even if they don't know it or they don't show it, well, they show it but they don't know it, carry some sort of trauma. 80% of people, like, when you go through trauma in general, people, I feel like that there's this feeling of loneliness. No, you're not alone. 80% of people carry that sense of trauma. And he said that there are there's this notion of trauma that we have, this traumatic event. But no, this is a very simple concept, but I feel like people mix it up all the time. And there's trauma and traumatic event. Trauma, let's start by the traumatic event, the most simple one. Something traumatic happened, okay? It can be a loss, like an event occurred, like a traumatic event. It's the event itself, that's trauma. That's the traumatic event, sorry. And then there's trauma. Trauma is what's left inside of you afterwards. It's the wound, okay, that the event leaves behind. So we have the traumatic event, what happened, trauma, what's left inside of you, the wound that it's left after that, as a result of the traumatic event. And he explained that there are two types of trauma: simple trauma and complex trauma. Simple trauma comes from like a single overwhelming event, like an accident, a breakup, the loss of somebody you deeply care about or you love. And then he said there is complex trauma. Complex trauma develops basically, if you see me reading, it's because I have my nose here and there. But he said complex trauma is from an ongoing or repeated experience. For example, growing up in a home where your emotional needs were not met. You were neglected as a kid, for example, violence, constant tension. But then he also mentions little t trauma, which is, this one I feel like is the one that is the most common one, okay? And it's not about something bad happening. It's actually about something good that didn't happen in your life. The good things that you were supposed to have as a child, but they didn't happen for you. That's little t trauma. Little t trauma, I feel like that's common to everybody. Like, I feel like this is really sad to think about, but it happens. And he said, like, for example, as a child, being loved when you were not loved, that's something a child should feel. You should feel your parents' love. Being neglected, being not accepted, or not emotionally seen as a child, like, that's something that you should have as a child. You should have an amazing childhood, but due to events, sometimes it doesn't happen. And he said that this kind of trauma, well, all of the types of trauma in general, affects our nervous system, okay? As I was saying, like, he said specifically about like this little t trauma, over 80% have this type of trauma of people, like the people that are traumatized and go to absence. And he said that this kind of trauma, like the absence of nourishment, is the one that most people carry. And he said that it deeply affects the nervous system, as I said before, especially when it happens in childhood, because as a child you cannot face your parents and you cannot run away, so instead you freeze and you adapt. Like, you learn to survive by becoming what others need you to be. So you start pleasing, you start performing, and suppressing like your own need to feel safe and loved. And he said that like this coping mechanism doesn't just disappear. Like, it often resurfaces like throughout your life, like 20-30 years later, especially in the relationships, in work, like the way we handle stress. Like, relationships trigger that part of you. So like, that's when people start realizing, oh, that's not maybe my personality, maybe that's just trauma, okay? And then I have like so many notes that I feel like I'm gonna do a part 2. Like, let me know if you want a part 2, but I'm gonna do it anyway. See you next time. Have a great day, and bye.